So, hi, Anthony. Thank you for taking the time to give us a little insight into your life and your thinking. Let's get cracking with some questions. What brought you to where you are today?
Great, thanks, Nikki. I guess I've always been creative and passionate about building things. I started with electronics, when I was actually at primary school, and then later got into software and algorithms. I guess for me, though, there was a turning point in 2004 when I realized that to have real impact, there's just no way I could do that on my own or even as part of someone else's company. So I need to go out and build my own company and team.
And who's in your team? And tell me about them.
Yeah, so we're 4 founders. There's Tim, Jan, Matt, and myself. We're all very technical, but we're well grounded in the real world. We have a huge amount of startup and big company experience between us. Tim and Jan and I have got an academic background, in research, whilst Matt's more commercial. And then there's the wider team, which is fantastic, and that's very international.
And what would you like to accomplish in the next year?
Yeah, that's that easy. Happy customers and recurring revenue. So we've identified a strong commercial opportunity, and we're running large-scale commercial trials here in the UK and over in Germany. So by this time next year, I want that solution to be rolled out operationally with those customers and to have a healthy pipeline of new ones.
And how has coronavirus impacted the business?
Well, I guess fortunately for us, the impact's been relatively limited. Projects and revenue have definitely been delayed, but maybe 3 to 6 months. But the business has been resilient enough to absorb that. For me, the more interesting question, and the one that no one really has answers for right now, is in the long term, what's the impact of coronavirus on the railway industry? So right now, in the short term, we've seen passenger numbers plummet down to 95% in London and across the UK. That's back up to 30% now. But clearly, the new normal is going to be very different. More home working, lack of travelling, confidence. However, on the plus side, I think many industries, including railways, are going to have to find new ways of operating at lower costs, and I think that's where we can really offer a lot of value.
And where would you like Machines with Vision to be in 5 years' time?
Well, I guess right now we're really focused on a very specific solution for the railway industry. But this is enabled by some deep technology that we've developed ourselves. 5 years from now, I sort of hope we'd evolve from a single solution business to a company that's developing and licensing technology and solutions into lots of different markets.
And what do you think the biggest opportunities are for Machines with Vision?
Yeah, I guess that sort of follows naturally from the last question, really. History sort of tells us that disruptive technology often matures in very niche sort of markets and applications, and then they get adopted by the mainstream. So, we've developed this really novel mapping technology and found a really good product market fit in the railway industry. But I think for us, the big opportunity is when this technology is integrated into mapping solutions across lots of different industries.
And what are the biggest challenges for Machines with Vision?
Well, I guess, we're one of the very first companies that's building solutions using this new game-changing category of image sensor known as a dynamic vision sensor. So we're working with cutting-edge technology, which is evolving very quickly. It's both a fantastic opportunity, but it definitely has additional risks, compared to using off-the-shelf established technologies. So, and also I think until these sensors are really adopted widely by the industry, it's very difficult for us to just be a software company. With our customers, they need to install these novel cameras at this stage, and that adds a bit of complexity to our business.
Something a bit more about you. What has been the highlight of your career?
Yeah, interesting.
Career so far.
Well, I was going to say, some of the previous startups I've been involved in, have been very successful, and there's been some exits. But I think with the wealth of technical and commercial experience that I've got behind me now, and the way that we've shaped this company and the plans we've got, I'd definitely say the highlight so far is right now. We're on the up.
That's definitely a good place to be in life. You mentioned you've been involved in a few startups. What would you say you've learned are the key factors in setting up a successful startup?
Yeah, wow, that's a deep question. And I guess there was lots of blogs, books, courses on this very subject, all written and created by some brilliant people. I suppose I've got the advantage that I've read and absorbed a lot of that stuff, but I've also put some stuff into practice. So I think if I was to pick three standout factors, they'd be the following. So first of all, people. So choose great people, co-founders, staff, advisors, investors. That's really, really critical. Probably out there, number one. And then I think it's really important to work on a solution that's different, not just better. There's very few startups succeed by doing something that exists already, just doing it slightly better than anyone else. And then finally, running a startup is very different to running a business, and I think you need to execute accordingly. There's a book called The Lean Startup, which I wish I had the insights of that 20 years ago.
And what would you say is your style of leadership?
Well, I hope that I inspire people, sort of lead with a sort of credible, overarching vision of what we want to get achieved. But also, I think it's really important to delegate specific responsibilities rather than micromanage teams. That both creates a really much more invested team, but it also creates a business that you can scale.
And what advice would you give to young aspiring entrepreneurs?
So one of my mistakes that I've overcome. I'd say there's definitely a tendency, particularly for technical CEOs, to be quite secretive about their ideas and to build far too much technology before they've really seen if it solves a real problem that someone will pay for. So my advice would be go talk to people and test your ideas as early as possible. If your idea is technically innovative and you want to develop a patent later, then talk to people about what you plan to do, but just not how you do it. But really go talk to people.
You're quite right. What motivates you to get out of bed in the morning?
Yeah, ultimately it comes down to technology and people for me. So solving problems with technology is sort of how I express my creative side. That's what I do, always have done. And then I get a huge amount of pleasure sort of building teams of people, and also by solving problems for customers.
And which CEOs or companies would you say you respect the most?
I guess there was lots of notable leaders like Elon Musk and Steve Jobs who you definitely need to respect. Not necessarily like them as people. I guess in general, I've got a huge amount of respect for anyone or any company with great ideas that's looking to create the future.
What do you enjoy doing in your free time?
Well, I've got a family, a couple of kids, and we have a lot of fun together. We play a lot of video games and board games. I'm a big fan of board games, and we spend a lot of time outdoors, walking and cycling. Scotland's absolutely fantastic for that. I also run and cycle on my own to keep fit and work through ideas.
And what was the last costume you wore?
Yeah, probably in a school play. It's not my thing.
I don't know what you were going to say to that one. Give me one word that describes you the best.
Yeah, it's difficult in one word, but I guess inventive, maybe.
Yeah, I would go with that. And thank you, Anthony. That was very insightful.
My pleasure. Thanks, Nikki.